let's start with erythritol. Because
Yeah,
as I said, a lot of people read this, heard about this article, and, it said something about cardiac issues from erythritol. So you read it. And so what's the
yeah,
scoop on that?
yeah. The authors kind of missed the point. They looked at studies ending about 5 years ago, where they were measuring blood compounds, and they found erythritol was one of the ones they found. Now, looking at 5-10 years ago, erythritol was not widely used in foods or sweeteners. And today it's used as a standalone, but it's mostly used as a base to put in things like stevia or monk fruit. These highly concentrated plant sweeteners that might be 100 to 300 times as sweet as sugar. And to
Yes.
bulk it up enough to make a packet, and to actually measure it, you add
Right.
a base. We don't add it to our stevia products. We do add it to our monk fruit products. It's less than a gram. It's very little, but that was not widely done 5 years ago. What
Mm-hmm.
it turns out that these authors did not mention in their study, and we didn't hear on the news, is that erythritol is actually produced as a normal artifact of carbohydrate metabolism in the body, that we are actually producing erythritol in our body. And erythritol does
That's
occur in
very
small
interesting.
amounts in very ripe fruits like berries.
Yes.
So you can get tiny amounts from the foods, but you're actually making a substantial amount from the sugar. And what they found was that the higher levels of erythritol were associated with, not causative, but associated with increased clotting factors for about a day or so after these levels were measured. What they didn't measure, and they should have clarified and screened out, was that eating regular sugars would do the same thing. It also increases clotting factors, and that
Yes.
erythritol itself, if you consume it in studies, actually helps with endothelial function, blood pressure, and some other issues involved with cardiovascular health, where it actually provides benefits. So they kind of ignored
Interesting.
the basis of all this and
Hmm.
focused on, we found this thing that was probably caused by people eating normal sugars, and blamed it on this compound that's a normal metabolite of sugar metabolism, rather than people consuming erythritol. So
Right.
it was very misleading. It got tons of headlines because it's counterintuitive, as these things do. And even
Right.
the researchers
0
didn't
calories.
delve into this.
Well, I have a question as the novice here, and just trying to learn more and absorb. It says the erythritol is 70% as sweet as sugar, and yet when I look on the nutrition facts, it says 0 calories. How can something that tastes sweet have 0 calories?
Good question.
That's because erythritol is almost 95% absorbed when you eat it, unlike some of the other sugar alcohols that pass through the GI tract and tend to cause water accumulation,
Yes.
watery stools, loose stools. It doesn't tend to do that, but then almost all of it is excreted from the body without being metabolized into energy. So if you can't convert it into energy and it's excreted intact, then it is not something that is caloric. I've seen estimates 0.2 calories per gram or something like that, but it's not something that you're going to have a significant amount of calories from, because you can't burn it in the body.
Okay, there you go.
There you
Got
go.
my
There's your
question
answer. That was a good question.
Yeah.
Great answer. And a lot of people like the taste of erythritol. Now, I don't, I've never baked with it. So, people have to learn how to bake, because when you use these different sugars, it's changing the consistency of a
Right.
baked good. But erythritol, so this is what it say, 70% as sweet as sugar?
Yep.
70%.
Yes.
Yeah.
sweet as
And
sugar.
that's the
Yeah.
reason why you often see it used as a base in things like stevia or monk fruit. And like I said, we don't use it in our stevia products, but we do use it in our monk fruits products. But a tiny bit as a base, because it's basically non-caloric. That 0.2 calories per gram, you have to drop the calories to 0 by FDA labeling regulations if it's less than 5 calories. So that 0 is an approximation.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
why we're seeing it in some different protein bars that are coming out on the market. right?
Right. It'll
Probably.
taste sweet. They'll usually add a second sweetener to it to spike
Yes.
it a little. You'll
Yep.
often see stevia, for example, in these bars or something
Yeah.
like that to add more sweetness.
But we're definitely seeing more products with it in.